Nintendo's cryptic fourth home console speaks to the starting of Nintendo's tinkering with the peculiar but also delivered a few of the purest gaming experience of all time. Whereas it was no place close as ubiquitous as Sony's PS2 or as capable as Microsoft's Xbox, Nintendo's unusual small box, total with an elegant handle and smaller than expected CDs, held its claim with a special and diverse catalog of first and third-party titles. The Gamecube may not have had the foremost games, but it was never missing in quality, playing host to some of the most excellent entries within the Zelda, Metroid, and Resident Evil franchises, whereas also bringing an array of incredible, entirely unique content. It's time to urge odd as we celebrate the 10 best Gamecube games. Pure unrelenting speed. It's one thing for a racing game to make it seem like you're driving at 150 miles per hour, but it's quite another when the game can fling your hovercraft through a mile-high loop at 2,000 kilometers per hour, while 29 other racers try to bump you out of the sky and make you believe it. Even with all the other cars on the screen blasting at the top speed in the fire-spewing cave with a magnetized pole acting as a course, F-Zero GX does not stutter. It's the fastest game on the system, not to mention one of the prettiest when viewed in widescreen. And progressive scan support ensures this game will look presentable years later. The racing intensity is blown into overdrive once you start getting into the harder circuits. F-Zero GX goes from fairly challenging to rip your hair out impossible, requiring you to race perfectly without making a single mistake. If you slip once, you'll see about 20 speeding hovercrafts go flying past in less than half a second. It's this ultimate hardcore appeal that makes F-Zero GX such a standout game, for no other title on the system is so unapologetic about its infuriating difficulty. Then you dive into the story mode, where things somehow get even harder. Overcoming these races is a source of pride that any gamer would be glad to brag about. Throw in a customizable garage mode and you've got something to keep gearheads, speed freaks, and hardcore nut jobs entranced for hours. Craving intensely from the works of classic horror scribe H.P. Lovecraft, this dread epic ranges thousands of a long time, putting you in control of a dozen individuals constrained to fight unimaginable repulsions from past the cosmos. Stack this up and you'll investigate frequented ruins as an escaped Cambodian slave, bash your way to the dull mystery at the heart of an ancient cathedral as a Franciscan minister, and battle out a terrible prison as a Canadian firefighter, among other exercises, and the full time you will be spooked out of your intellect. The magnificence of Eternal Darkness is it doesn't owe to utilize sudden stuns to alarm you silly. Indeed, the monsters and traps aren't that unnerving when compared to the charm the game takes in messing together with your head. You might enter a room and all of a sudden be decapitated as it were to return unharmed in the past hallway a couple of seconds afterward. Your estimate changes, room turn upside down, free voices cry madness in your ears, and it all gets more awful as your character gets pushed further and assists toward the brink of rational soundness. Are the devils genuine or have you just gone insane? Who says it can't be both? Nothing that spectacular happens in Animal Crossing. Much like in real life, you buy a home, get a job, shop for material possessions, visit friends, celebrate holidays, and get exploited by money-hungry capitalism like Tom Nook. Seriously, that's about as exciting as it gets. So why bother? Because unlike reality, Animal Crossing is all about freedom and relaxation. An average gameplay session usually includes nothing more basic than fishing by the river, collecting rare butterflies, and dropping in on an animal neighbor to check out their new coffee table. Your most important mission may be delivering a letter from a friendly cat to an even friendlier dog. It's an endlessly charming and refreshing break from the stresses of the actual world. Not to mention the stresses of other more violent and frustrating video games, you'll never throw your controller at this one, so long as that dastardly Nook isn't asking for more money. The initial Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast appeared as just how lovely and addictive a 3D fighter may well be. Taking the formula to another level appeared like a challenge, but Namco made it look easy with this completely charming continuation. With a single player mode worth the time speculation and a gathering of new characters to clash blades with, it oozed polish and playability from each pore. Better in spite of the fact that was Namco's clever trick of including a special character in each console's version of the game. PS2 got Tekken's Heihachi, the American console Xbox got Comic Book Hero Spawn, but not one or the other may hope to compete with Zelda Hero Link. The developers did a stellar work of executing him as well. This was the foremost nitty-gritty adaptation of the character we've seen at that point, with flawlessly choreographed swordplay and numerous of the special abilities he had in his adventures. In brief, it lifted the GameCube version over the other two and briefly brought a genuine edge to the GameCube's lineup. Blowing up TIE fighters in a X-Wing is cool. Doing so in a superb game on the day you brought your shiny new GameCube is mind-blowing. Rogue Leader was the first GameCube game to really show off what Nintendo's purple lunchbox was capable of, pumping out beautiful visuals to match its rapid-fire action. From the epic trench run of the first Death Star to the final assault at the Battle of Endor, Rogue Leader's battles pile on the action as you tango with the best pilots the Empire has to offer. The dogfights are fast and addictive, the multiple mission objectives punch in some decent variety, and the scenery looks amazing as it zooms past. As far as space and aerial combat in the Star Wars universe goes, this is still the definitive console game, and that's saying a lot. When Prince of Persia, a notorious video game franchise, was declared for a reboot, tenured gamers appeared a few concerned. This was a classic after all, and some of the time, it's best to let resting pooches lie. Ubisoft, be that as it may, conveyed 10 times with Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, changing the ancient title into a modern classic. Sands of Time centered on nimbleness and gymnastics, feat not regularly seen in these sorts of action games. This prince could walk over walls and hop leap and bounce over the landscape. Best of all, on the off chance that you fell into a pit, you may utilize the Sands of Time, a wonderful expansion for many a slow-fingered player. Sands of Time brought the prince into the show, uncovering this immortal franchise to a modern era. Take all its world-renowned characters, throw them into painstakingly crafted arenas, and have them fight until only one is left standing. Mario vs. Link vs. Samus vs. Bowser, all inside a perfect recreation of Super Mario Bros. First level. It's a deathmatch made in heaven. The gameplay has that beautiful, easy to learn, hard to master quality, meaning a 5-year-old can jump right in while experienced scrappers can go on to find limitless incentives to keep playing. A challenging adventure mode takes all the same moves and brilliant animations from the fighting game and puts them into a side-scrolling romp that still plays better than most games made since. With unlockables galore, this is one giant celebration of everything Nintendo. Melee was the best-selling GameCube title and won tons of praise from critics and the public. Despite the Wii sequel Brawl expanding on it in so many ways, many fans still prefer this one. RE4 keeps the activity and the scares coming at fast pace, blending brutal firefights, buckets of gut, and intuitively cutscenes with the most excellent visuals the last era of console had to offer. Not at all like past Evil, this one loads you up with sufficient weapons and ammunition to halt an armed force of rhinos, but you'll require each final bullet to punch your way through the swarms of crazy people standing between you and the president's daughter. RE4 is intense, make no mistake, but its grouchy air and profound cinematic action will keep you bolted in deep after the demoralizing gut punch of what Hero Leon's head sheared off by a chainsaw-wielding freak. In the event that you do not believe me, attempt playing it for 15 minutes in case you'll be able to walk away from the game after the adrenaline surging sequence in which you barricade yourself into a house as an irate horde swarms exterior. At that point, you've got more resolve than I ever will. Despite the insane odds stacked against Samus and her first 3D adventure, all we needed was 5 minutes to realize why this was an amazing product. How? First off, Samus' new planet looked like a real place, with uneven caves and rough patches of vegetation strewn all over the map. And developer Retro Studios revolutionized an ailing franchise in the most startling way possible, by presenting a thought-heavy puzzler in the same manner as the first-person shooter. The viewpoint didn't once feel tacked on or unnecessary, instead drawing you in even more rain splatters on the visor and steam effects creep up and obscure your view, creating an ever-increasing sense of claustrophobia that stays with you from one save point to the next. In short, it's everything a franchise reborn wants to be. Before I reveal the number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions: Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Pikmin 2, Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes, Beautiful Joe, and Super Mario Sunshine. The clean, colorful Disney fashion will never be dated. It's dynamic and wonderful until the end of time. Moreover, exchanging the setting from unending green woodland to perpetual blue sea, and your implies of transportation from horse to boat, demonstrated that the Zelda formula truly is godlike. Finally, and most controversially, Link is recast as a bite-sized tyke, but the brave spirit of the character is intact, and his wide-eyed childlike expressions make him more sympathetic than ever before. If you can get through the scene where he says goodbye to his grandmother without getting a little emotional, then you're made of tougher stuff than me. Hey guys, Reno here, and if you like the video, leave a like, let me know what you think of the video, and as always, I hope you enjoy.